All right, we should be live. Hi, everybody. This is Brenda Edelman, and I am with this beautiful crew at the Soul Speak event. This is our second open mic of the event. I just want to double check that it's on my page. Let's see if it shows. It's always so nice when it does. And there it is. Okay, awesome. Okay, great. So we have 7 presenters. The theme of this open mic is love, good love, bad love, mysterious love, all kinds of love, romantic love, unromantic love. Really, it's pretty exciting because anything goes. I have no idea what people are sharing. But one thing I can promise you, because they're in my world and I know them, is it's going to be authentic and entertaining. Okay, so I'm Brenda Edelman, and I am a professional storyteller, and I also have developed and directed over 200 of my clients for the stage and also more for video and stuff like that. I've done a shit ton of interviews. Sorry for my Brooklynese. And I just want to um, share the stage with more people. I want people to tell their stories because I know that by sharing our stories in an impactful way and with more people, we change the world for the better. I really believe that people need to know what other people are going through and the resilience that lives within each and every person, because that's how we have better mental health and a better world. So let me just briefly say the orders and wave your hand up in the air when I say your name. So we will start with Katie. Yay. And then Miche. Awesome. And Mary Fran. Wonderful. And Melanie. Wonderful. And Whiskey. Yay. And Candace. Wonderful. And Spencer. Wonderful. And I just realized that the order I put everybody in was actually my clients in Soul Story Lounge are the first 4. That's funny how that just happens. All right. So without further ado, let me just make sure I got everything in order here so that I can pin you, Katie, and introduce you. Okay, so the first person we are starting with, let me actually pin you. Now let me just say, the first person we are starting with is Katie Mag, and her piece is titled Lesson on Loving Self.
Hi there, I'm Katie Mag, and I'm going to talk about a little story that happened to me probably about 10 years ago, but it's so fresh and still with me to this day. When I catch a whiff of cheap coffee, it takes me right back to my former boss, getting in my face, her stale coffee breath, as she looked in my eyes and said, "No one likes you. Nobody can stand you. You will never work at the main house." I felt like someone had punched me in the gut, totally winded. I stood there wondering what in the world. Those blunt words sent me spiraling, confirming my worst fears about myself. I started avoiding everyone, not wanting them to see the self doubt written all over me. I disconnected from everything joyful, believing I didn't deserve laughter, friends, people, anything, or even basic kindness. I was drowning in self criticism. But you know what ultimately helped me shift my perspective? I realized my boss's harsh judgment revealed more about her and her lack of self compassion than anything about me. To be ironic about it all, I had to speak to the patients about stress management. A week later, I had to give this new presentation about a video on stress and how to counteract that when I came across laughter and the many benefits. It highlighted how humor lifts our whole mindset. Watching it, I felt joy bubbling up in my belly. I started laughing at certain things and just enjoying life. Laughter connects us back to our spirit. I saw instead of attaching myself, I learned to respond with kindness to her also, but kindness to myself. I saw that self love guides us to a wholeness. I learned to love myself again and be me. My name's Katie Mag. Thank you.
That was great. Thanks. I am not sure if I had the gallery up at first. So if the gallery picture wasn't up, you will see everybody at the end. So second, we have Miche Meisner, and her piece is called Loving Myself from Failure to Fearless.
Hi, I'm Miche Meisner, and I'm going to give you a little synopsis there. So at age 5, I already didn't know how, that I was supposed to save the world. I took it seriously even at 5, and by the time I was 16, 17 years old, I was already suicidally depressed, felt like a huge failure, and felt like if I didn't get this right, I didn't even deserve to be here. I didn't think I was going to make it to age 25, but somehow I did, muddled along. And shortly after I turned 25, I had a visitation from my dead grandmother in the middle of the night. I woke up, I found myself standing in the middle of the room with her across from me, and she took my hand, no, she took my face in her hands and said, "Do you know how much you love me?" And I said, "Yes, we were unconditional love together." She said, "That's how much I love you. And loving you is loving myself. And that's what God is like." Wow. This was actually my first introduction to God because we didn't grow up with any of that. And neither did my grandmother, but I guess maybe, in the afterlife, she found it. Anyway, I could get behind that. God is love. Love. Everything is love. Energy of love. It helped me feel a little bit kind of on my path, like not completely lost. And yeah, I could always help other people love themselves and be kind to them and send them love. It was myself that I could not love and forgive and be kind and patient. And that was still a problem. So this was helpful, but it didn't really like solve what to do and how to be with myself. It was some years later that I got the message that there was another part, another piece to that story. And it was that loving myself, really loving myself, is also what God is like. And when I understood that, it gave me permission. It's like, wait, you mean I'm actually like supposed to love myself and be kind to myself and, cut myself some slack? So I started, moving more into that. And as I did, I started trusting myself and able to express myself and stop looking everywhere to be someone else or learn something else to fill some hole that I didn't have to accomplish this insane mission. Sometime after that, it actually occurred to me, maybe that 5-year-old didn't quite get it right. Maybe she thought the message was, you go out there and fix the world. And maybe instead, God was saying, the world really could use some fixing. I'm going to put you down there so that you can just be yourself and shine your light because it's going to help. And once I got to that point, this feeling of like, whoa, I'm not alone in this. God has actually got my back. And now I love myself. I've got my back. And I was really able to dive into my talents and gifts and share it and be more visible. And I discovered I have a sense of humor. And when I don't have this incredible weight of having to save the world all by myself, I think I'm doing a pretty good job of lighting up my own little corner. And I invite you to, look into yourself and shine your light. Where's your light? Are you shining it? Are you hiding it? Let it out, because I think that's what we're all here for. Thank you.
Thank you. That was very touching. So next we have, one second, we have Mary Fran Korb. Her piece is Bus Stop, and she is a relationship rejuvenation coach and author.
Hi, I'm Mary Fran Korb, and in Athens, Greece. I went to an evening light and sound show at the Acropolis. On my teacher's salary, I could only afford a hotel outside the city. So I had to take a bus into the big city. So the event was mobbed. The whole big outdoors was so grand, and there were only 2 seats left. A young man sat next to me and took the last seat. There were huge lights, wondrous music, and exquisite weather that just made it such a memorable event. When people started leaving, I headed to the exit, aware that the young man was next to me. This gorgeous Greek guy looked to be my age, mid-20s, making light banter. He just really amused me. And he asked, "How old are you? How old do you want me to be? Have you tried Uzu? I just got off the boat from Brindisi. I have no idea what that is." He said, "You just sip it slowly. I want you to have it. I will take you there." I was skeptical, but I said yes. We walked up a hill to a cozy restaurant that served Uzu. Such strong stuff. I was reeling from the few sips. Hated the taste, really, but this pleasant chap just kept engaging me in conversation. When I noticed it was quite late, this Cinderella here, with sandals and forget the heels, headed for the door. I have to take the number 15 bus. I hadn't told him that before. He showed me the bus stop and the sign confirming the number. But the bus stops running at 10 p.m. It was already 11. So I didn't believe him. And I waited. And I waited, and we talked. And I waited. And then I realized the bus wasn't coming. So I sat on the curb in despair. Really, I didn't know what to do. And he sat with me. He had a solution. Don't you know? I could go stay overnight with him. This was before credit cards. And I certainly wasn't carrying enough cash to afford another hotel room. With no easy choices, chances are I'd be safer with him than risking sitting on a curb all night. While I knew I was naive, heck, I wasn't even on the pill, I also wasn't stupid. I knew this was risky, but when I looked him in the eyes, I trusted him. We'd been together for a few years. Excuse me, we'd been together for a few hours, and he hadn't been inappropriate. So I warily walked to his man cave. He offered me his king-size bed. I refused. "You sleep in your bed, and I'll sleep on the couch." There was no couch. So he fixed up 2 oversized chairs for me. I slept in my clothes, and when I awoke, he was on the chairs with me. He explained that he just wanted to be close to me. So the next thing stunned me. Would I stay in Athens with him? Oh my God, for how long? As long as you want. He wasn't surprised that I said no. We walked silently to the bus stop feeling the crisp morning air, and sweetly he kissed me goodbye. We didn't say it, but we both knew that we would never, ever see each other again. Thank you.
Great job. I was right there with you.
Wow.
That was awesome. Okay, so now we have, let me just pin it over here one second. We have Melanie Lakota with A New Way to Look at Love. She is the creator of the Soul Alignment Process and says, let me help you attract love.
Hi, Melanie Lococo. I have a question for you. What are your plans for Valentine's Day tomorrow? More importantly, who do you plan to spend it with? I'm the creator of the VIP Soulmate Alignment Process, where I help people to release their past and create the energy to attract the love in your life. For several years, I spent holidays alone. I had family and friends nearby, but not my beloved. I'd see friends and family holding hands and hugging affectionately and tenderly looking at each other through their eyes. I was I was happy for them, yet I was also sad and I was mad. I mean, after all, I'm smart and good looking. I have a great sense of humor and successful too. So why was I alone? I'd meet men on the internet. I would connect and disconnect and connect and disconnect. And I'd also meet them at events in the community, out there. And then I decided, I'm going to go to my favorite place, the place where I know I can find my beloved inside of me, inside of my heart. And I created the Soulmate Alignment Process. In 6 months, I met my beloved Richard, and we've been together for 6.5 years. And I help others to find their beloveds as well. My friend, Dr. Wayne Dyer, would say, you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. Think about that. You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. I'll always remember my first date with Richard. He came to pick me up, and I looked down at his shoes. He was wearing these brown and beige Oxford sandals. They were adorable. And then I looked at his beautiful smile, and then the gorgeous roses he was giving me. So kind. We went to dinner at an upscale fish market at the bay, and we loved our delicious meal of fresh fish, sauteed vegetables, and very lively conversation. We failed to notice when the waiters were quietly taking the tablecloths off and rolling them, dimming the lights, and kind of sweeping around the place that it was clearly past closing time. But we were having such a great conversation, and they wanted us to continue to have so much joy. And we still continue to this day to find new things about each other, to be devoted to one another, and to have lively and fun conversations. We'll be together spending Valentine's Day tomorrow, but it'll be different than other Valentine's Day. Richard is going in for surgery, for hip surgery, and I'll be right there by his side when he comes out. That's our love language, caring and being there for each other, no matter what. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking to him. I'd love to help you find the love of your life. DM me or become a Facebook friend. What are your plans for Valentine's Day? More importantly, who do you want to spend that day with? I'm Melanie Lococo, the creator of the VIP Soulmate Alignment Process, wishing you Happy Hearts Day. Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I love hearing people that I know for a while just continue to tell new stories. And so I learn more about them. So beautiful. All right. So now we go to Whiskey Lynn. And her piece is called I'm Such a Quitter. She's a retired inner city school teacher. She is now an author, speaker, and post-traumatic hold on, I have to. Okay. Post-traumatic progress coach. I love that. Who travels the country on her Harley to spread awareness for her road ministry. Her passion is helping women break their patterns to release themselves from domestic abuse. The floor is yours.
Hi, my name's Whiskey, and I had everything ready to go for this event, but I learned to love myself and trust my intuition so much that I canned the entire thing and chose a piece that I wrote literally just a few hours ago. I put my guts on digital paper, and I'm compelled to share them with you now. I am such a quitter. 131 days alcohol-free. 4th week in the gym, lifting 5 days a week. 60 pounds lighter. My 4th downsize in clothes. 13 days without a cigarette and 18 years without cocaine. And 5 years since my dad died. The trainer had an emergency, so I was on my own today. I hadn't considered the date when I set out to coordinate my own workout. TRX stretching, a bit of yoga for stretching, multiple 30-second planks, 25 minutes of high-intensity interval rowing with resistance set, and a 4-mile walk. It's a lot for me, but I did it. A month ago, I couldn't have. The gym has become my drug of choice. I've had little to no complex PTSD symptoms since I've gotten serious about taking care of myself. Once I started focusing physically inward, I'd stopped going emotionally backward. I'm actually sitting in the locker room writing this because this workout triggered tears and I had to let it out in my words. My dad died 5 years ago today. Excuse me. To me, he was the devil incarnate, and I'd fought him my entire life. Was it all bad times? No. Do I miss him? Also, no. I do grieve how I thought things should have been. That's usually what we do, isn't it? We miss that they missed the opportunity to meet our expectations, to be a decent human and treat us correctly, to treat us the way we expected others to be treated. We expected them to treat us the way we treat others. We grieve the fact that that need will never be met by them. And then we become quitters. We quit running that shitty story on loop that gives them free rent in our heads. We quit the substances that might drown it all out as it slowly kills us instead. We quit making excuses about why we don't deserve to or can't start over. And then we kick ourselves in the ass. We drill down on getting real with ourselves, and we quit accepting lies and excuses from ourselves. My past has zero hold on me anymore. Anytime an opportunity for life, love, or purpose comes in front of me, I ask myself one question. Does this opportunity bring me closer to the vision I have for myself? If the answer is no, then the response to the opportunity is no. I do the same when it comes to my past or when my past comes in the front of my mind. I'm done with all the other bullshit that doesn't serve or deserve me because I am absolutely 1000% undeniably a quitter. And you can be too. My name is Whiskey, and I thank you so much for this opportunity to spend time with you.
Wow, I am so glad and honored that you followed your intuition. That was stunning. Okay, and now we go to Candace Coulter. Her piece is called The Hidden Treasure. She is the joyful kidney coach. She recovered naturopathically from chronic kidney disease. The stage is yours.
Hi, I'm Candace Coulter. Have you ever thought of some scheme as a kid to test your mom's love and patience? Well, I've done my share of whoppers, but one of the first ones was pretty early on when she went into the basement to collect the laundry, and I turned on the water in the bathroom and closed the drain. Can you imagine? My mom came zooming back into the apartment. What's going on? She said. There's water running down the basement wall. I had a hard time to keep from laughing, even though I knew she was mad. Wow, I was in hot water. As an only kid, I had a lot of alone time. Although I spent lots of time watching sports with my dad, making puzzles with him, and doing games of skill, those were things that my mom didn't really enjoy. That was great until he passed away with an unexpected heart attack at the age of 69 after 48 years of marriage to my mom. That was 24 years ago. It was then that I realized how much I had taken my mom for granted. There was so many things that I didn't even know about her. And oh my God, I had rarely told my mom I love her, except in greeting cards. So what do I do now? I thought. Well, in 1973, I had eloped with an Air Force guy to go live a life of my own. But after several years and 2 kids later, while driving from the base in North Dakota to see my in-laws in Nebraska, we were in a rollover car accident, and my husband and daughter were killed. Well, no one else but my mom would have been at the ready. My mom insisted that she and my dad drive nonstop from Wisconsin to be with me. They got within 50 miles and didn't have the gas to finish. No stations in the area were open at that hour. Well, this was in 1975. My mom was practically frantic with the delay. This was one of many times, as I thought back, that she had been there for me, no matter how many ill-advised moves I had made over the years, and there were many. Sure, there were plenty of unrosy times when we did not see eye to eye, but I had to be honest that she had done some really cool things for me over the years, like inviting all the neighbors in the neighborhood to watch when I appeared on MTV with David Lee Roth and California Girls in 1985. Or the great habit she made for me for a community theater production of The Sound of Music when I played Sister Sophia. Or the time she showed up at my apartment and rescued me after I collapsed and needed emergency kidney stone surgery. Over the years, my mom was brilliant working with miniatures, great with color combinations, clever fixing things in her apartment, and she was amazingly thrifty. That all took a turn about 2 years ago when she fell down some stairs and then fell in her apartment more and more often. I couldn't lift her after a while, and I could not manage 2 apartments. We had to put her in assisted living. That was a real challenge. When they put her in hospice care after 3 hospital visits, it seemed that the bottom had dropped out of my world. But all was not lost. Less than 6 months later, because we spent a lot of time talking, and talking, she bounced back, and they actually took her out of hospice care. My mom will be 92 on the 2nd of March. This is my #1 love story this year. My mom was a hidden treasure in my life for so long, but we always have hugs for each other and smiles these days. And we say what's most important. I love you. Thank you.
Wow, that's yet another example of how my heart breaks when I hear these stories, and then at the same time breaks completely open. This is the power of sharing our stories. Like, I feel so honored by everyone. That one just, I'm still recovering. It was so good though. All right, so we have our last speaker of the day, last open mic courageous storyteller of the day coming in a moment. And then right after that will be a short Q&A. So let me just introduce Spencer Whitlow. His piece is called Lost Love. And it's, he says, it's looking for love for 5 years. He looked for love for 5 years and then it moved away. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you. All right, people, this is the first time. We're gonna try and see how this come on out. Okay, you know, life has its funny ways of throwing us curveballs. Just like when thinking you got it all figured out, something changed, and that's how it was for us. It was back in September, the time that I felt both like yesterday and a lifetime ago. We were just two souls caught in the wind of life and finding solace for each other company. And then just up and moved to Memphis. Yes, it was just a move. It felt like a test of everything we had built together. I remember those days why and the journey to Memphis, the Greyhound bus, the first challenge as he struggled and got lost got off at the wrong stop, and we stayed connected through every wrong hump and turn and misdirection. My voice on the phone guided him to a lifetime across the miles. It was just like giving direction. It was about paving that no direction could, wrecking the bond that we shared. Memphis was supposed to be a temporary chapter, a brief detour of the past, of carving out together. We talked about the future and made plans, even decided to exchange Christmas gifts, a way of bringing the gap between us. I sent mine filled with all the love and hope I could pack up into a box, but this had never came. It wasn't just about the gift. It was the promise of the promise of the representative. I promised, no, I promised and left unfulfilled the hurt. Not going to lie, but I felt that a piece of us was left hanging and incomplete. All right, that's it. That's it.
I got it. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing today. Thank you everyone so much. I'm going to pull up the, I'm going to put it in gallery mode so everyone can see everyone, since in the beginning, I don't know if we got all of you. Wow. I'm like so emotional right now. It's hard for me to even gather my thoughts to like talk right now. This was the open mic of, this brand new event. I was inspired by Valentine's Day and love and all the different qualities of love. And that's what you guys brought. Like, it was so gorgeous. and so authentic. This is what I live for. It's why I go out to plays. It's why I go to movies when they're good ones and not formulaic. It's, it's like I want this real stuff. So thank you everyone for gracing me with your presence and your courage and your inspiration. As a storytelling coach and a storyteller, I still need courage. I still need inspiration, and that's what this does. Like, it helps me to dig deeper and say, oh, if they can be that courageous, and you guys played with my emotions. I know you played with everyone else's, which is great, right? That's what you want to do as a storyteller, the ups, the downs. I got to know people that are in my Soul Story Lounge community much better by hearing different takes on these beautiful stories that have evolved. It was so beautiful. So, there are a few people have been watching through and through. Please feel free to comment on the page. And for those who watch the replay, if you have comments when you see this, why don't you share? Because that was just stunning. And this is the closest thing we have to like you being in the theater with these amazing storytellers, and then you guys are the audience, just virtual. So if anyone has a question who's watching, please feel free to put that question there. And then anything you guys want to share about that experience. Whiskey.
I actually didn't get through your second masterclass because I messed up the time zones, but I listened to yesterday's, and one of the things you said triggered me to change my piece at the last minute because I realized after I wrote that to just today, I was stuck on it. I had been reading it and rereading it all day, telling myself that I needed to stop reading it so I could go practice the one I was going to use. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, my brain had literally, and I cried every time I got to the tear part when I read it. So I was like, don't cry when you read it. Don't cry and yeah.
That's actually the quickest way to cry when you read it, to keep saying, don't cry. I actually use that when I'm acting, don't cry, and then I end up crying.
Yeah, it's because it was so, what's the word? The writing was so intuitive and so in the moment that I literally dumped my guts on that page.
It was gorgeous.
So
I felt it.
I thank you so much for the encouragement and the opportunity to do that.
Thank you. Do you remember what it was that I said in the masterclass that had you decide to follow that intuition?
Part of it was the thing about stories, and the other just in stories in general. And the other thing was like not following the formula and knowing your intuition and knowing that your story is what is the trigger for someone else's healing. And my stories are actually the trigger for my own healing. So I was like, that's it.
Yes.
Through. So I put it on here.
It was so stunning, and it really reminded me of when the first my one woman show, my Brooklyn Hamlet, the first scene from that is the cornerstone of that whole 60-minute piece was a poem I wrote for myself, and it was channeled, and that your piece was channeled. Like, you cannot go wrong with that, and just knowing, and you already know because you do this kind of work, to care for yourself so much after you share like that as well. Like, sometimes we're compelled to share it, then where there's a break is that people don't understand. Then give your inner child some love after that, because you're the adult that does all this great stuff right now and takes care of herself. That was stunning. And what I'll say for people watching this, because you still have access to the masterclass from yesterday and the masterclass today, either by signing up for my Soul Speak event, which I'll pop a link in afterwards, because then you'll also access, I did a class on Friday on healing from your story. So for those who sign up there, they'll get that. But otherwise, just go into my group, Unforgettable Speaker Society, and you will see the master classes. You won't get the Healing Through Story workshop, but you'll get that. Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you for telling me that too.
I wanted to say that everyone's was so deep, such feeling and such meaning. I felt like I was in the wrong group because I just had the brief encounter.
Oh my God, this is what's so great though. It was actually the perfect blend, because that's what we want even as a show, to have the highs, the lows, the intensity, the frivolity, nothing was really frivolous.
I loved your story, Mary Fran. And there was a part when I just laughed really just out loud. And I loved her story. I loved everybody's story.
Don't ever apologize
Yes.
for sharing your truth. Don't compare. This is a good
Oh,
example.
okay,
Yeah.
that's,
Compare
that's,
to others. Like yours was just as valuable as everybody else's.
I just
because it
meant
was
ev-
authentic.
Yeah.
it was what?
Not only was it authentic, it was very well acted. I must say,
Oh,
I'm going to take
thanks.
some mentorship kudos here. That was very well acted, right? I didn't work with you specifically on that one, but I
Mm.
saw what I teach in your piece.
Oh, yeah.
I was very excited.
Oh, yeah, I use it all the time, what you teach.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I had I turned my timer on a teeny bit early, and then so it went over and it went on. I was
Oh,
sure.
we didn't hear it. We
Oh,
didn't hear it.
good. Oh,
No,
good.
that's the good thing about Zoom. It actually cancels out that
Beautiful.
other noise. Yeah, no, we didn't hear it. And it was so
Wonderful.
good. There's one of those moments where it was so good that nobody noticed at all that it went over, you
Oh,
know?
good.
Yeah, beautiful. It almost was like, it is funny because I thought maybe it was going over. I wasn't, I told you I've taken my fierce hat off. I wasn't watching time, but I had a sense maybe it's over. And then I'm like, oh shit, I hope she finishes it because I want to hear how this shit. You know, you always want to be like that. Either leave them wanting more or just like get that, culmination of it out. Okay.
Well, I just was very touched by everyone's talk. It really was.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah, me too. Just so honored,
Yeah.
just
Isn't it true?
honored. It is. It
Like,
is. It's
when
like,
people share
wow,
from this
just
place, you get how
Mm.
resilient.
right here. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. I'd love to hear from everybody how that was.
I think it was excellent. Actually, I've been I guess you follow people on social media. I've been following for Brenda for over at least 3 years or more.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm really excited. Just recently I published an ebook. It's called Struggling. I can't remember the title, but it's me talking about my time doing radio. It actually is free. It was on promotional Wednesday. And
you should also put in this link here in case people want to get it. She's
oh, okay.
the promotional Wednesday inside my group, Unforgettable Speaker Society. Yeah.
Yeah. So it took me 3 years to get here. So, but I'm here and I'm happy, excited, and all the stories were great.
You should be
My
proud of yourself because writing a
Yeah.
book is very different from presenting. That's why I teach the presenting part. Like, of course, I can help people with writing, but for me, it's like, let's get those stories out in this very visceral way. And it's different from just reading something. You did a great job. It was very courageous.
Yeah, so I'm excited. And then I also interviewed her, and she was shocked because I asked her a couple of questions about her book and different things. She was like, "Oh, oh."
Yeah, I love that when people ask me new questions because I've done so many interviews and I remember you asked really good questions. I love that. I love connecting with people,
Yeah,
new
it was
people,
fun.
new ways. Beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Melanie, I didn't cut you off, did I?
No, you didn't. It was just it's so wonderful. I love it each time.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I told the story before, but the special change is that Richard's going to be in the hospital, and it's like, wow, on Valentine's Day, and I have some friends that are going to be staying with me while it's very special. It's love beyond the human body. It's a soul. That's how I feel.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that devotion you talk about.
devotion. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very beautiful.
Yeah. Thank
Who
you.
else has something they'd like to share?
Yeah.
Candace and then Miche.
Well, I'm really grateful to have had this opportunity because I've never done an open mic before. So this was a first, and it had me as nervous as the first time I did a Facebook Live.
That's why I actually give this to my clients. Like I'm opening it up for non-clients, but I want people to get through those nerves, like be able to have it be a regular thing so that it gets more fun from the beginning. Yeah.
Well,
You couldn't tell you were nervous.
I also altered a few things in what I said after hearing the two master classes. And
Oh,
I thought, well, some of the stuff I had written, I thought that it doesn't flow smoothly into the next thing that I wanted to say. And I thought, I can't make this fit. I got to do something else. So I switched some stuff.
yeah, and I thought your piece was masterful, honestly, like the journey and the ups and the downs and the wanting to cry and then the laughing out loud. Like I thought it was masterful. That's really good feedback for me because these two master classes were brand new, but I am for everyone watching too. I'm putting those into Soul Story Lounge. They're leaving free land in Unforgettable Speaker Society on Friday or Sunday, and then they'll go into Soul Story Lounge. I'm so glad that that was so like practically helpful. That's wonderful. And you have an acting background, and it showed. Like it's really, really good. I would have never known this was the first time you did an open mic.
Mm-mm.
Never known. Really wonderful. So I just encourage you to keep telling your story on video. Thank you. Miche.
Well, I definitely really enjoyed everybody's stories and how similar and yet so different, everybody was. That was great. I basically wrote, I took some stories and kind of cobbled that together. Like, I started at 2 o'clock or maybe 1:30, and from the exercise you gave the other day of like doing 15 minutes and then cutting it down by half.
Oh,
and
the
then
one we did in the private workshop? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Um. Anyway, so I started and I just, was on recording it, and the first time was like 7 minutes and 40 seconds. It took me an hour and a half to get it down to under 5 minutes.
Well, you didn't do the exercise like I shared. I don't think, because it wouldn't have taken that long. Did you do it writing versus?
No, no, I did it on camera.
Oh, and
I
it took you
recorded
an
it.
hour and a half. So let me just
Oh,
finish
God.
what you're saying, and then I'll go over
Horrible.
that exercise.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think I just kept, throwing stuff out, but then dragging something else
right.
in, or,
Which is
you know,
okay because that's actually you had the time to do it and you wanted to refine it. So that's
right.
great.
But I
I just
thought, oh,
never
I'm gonna
heard
do
it
this,
taking that long.
10 minutes, I'll be done, we'll be ready, whatever. So anyway, I was like, and it was like, oh my God, it's 20 to 4, and then my computer crashed, and anyway, but it was good. I felt like I was kind of going through it like rushed, like to try to make sure I stayed, and I was actually done before 4 minutes. So I guess I was kind of rushing there.
Yeah, so you definitely could have had a little more time, but and that's what happens. I've had only a little bit of time and I've rushed. Usually it's the beginning. Actually, the 15-minute piece that I posted inside Unforgettable Speakers Society, I would love everyone to watch it. It's a 15-minute piece that I submitted to a festival. It had to be under 15, and I only did it in like one take. And so you'll notice now if you watch it, the beginning is super, super, super rushed, and then I ease into it because I just couldn't keep the pacing up. So I don't think it was overly rushed in that I didn't notice that. But
Okay.
what I'll say is, first of all, it was a really beautiful piece. I love the way you put it together. Like it was a whole nother level of depth to it, or more like it's always deep, but it's more like the next level of understanding. You know how as we awaken, we learn something more about ourselves. I felt like that's what came out in there. It was so
Yeah.
touching.
Uh,
It was beautiful. So the exercise I gave, I think it was in the private workshop. I uh I don't think I gave that in the master classes. It's basically an improv technique when you're wanting to cut down, like you have something that's too long, but it's kind of on its feet. So it's like you have a topic. I'm talking about my mother and something that happened, and you have 5 minutes and you film yourself and you say everything you want to say that you think you want to say in the time frame. Okay, let's say 10 minutes. 10 minutes. So you say everything and you go on and you have a little of this and a little of that and you tell that story. And then without thinking, you set the alarm, and then without thinking, as soon as the alarm goes off, you reset it for 5 minutes. You have half the amount of time. And it's still kind of a lot of time, but what happens is you're not thinking, so you're that part of your mind is really what comes forward is what's most important. And then after the 5 minutes, you stop the clock and you have 2.5 minutes. And then you have just 2.5 minutes to say it. And again, you're not thinking. So the meat of what you have to say comes out. Now that's kind of a long time, so maybe it works a little bit differently because usually you start with like 3 to 5 minutes and then it goes down to 2.5 minutes and a minute and a little bit. And it's really great. Like I've seen it on stage, I've done it on stage, I've done it in rehearsal, and it's amazing. It's like it's just more interesting and more is at stake and you see what to take out. But what I like what you did is you kind of customized it for what you wanted to get across. And so what it sounds like is you used it and then you put pieces that maybe didn't get in and you're like, okay, let me put that in, but then I got to get something out, which is rewriting. And I say
Right.
writing is rewriting. So it was beautiful.
Thank you.
And I
Um,
really commend you for the commitment. What?
Thank you. I was just looking for something from you in my email, and it pulled up like every email that I've never thrown out from you. And the first one I had was from 2017.
Really?
So I guess that's when I first like found you out there. We didn't connect. I didn't do anything, but you've been on my radar screen for quite a while now.
Thank you. And you've been in Soul Story Lounge since like 2022.
Uh-huh.
So let's see. So I have about 5 years before people hire me. Nice.
Hopefully other people don't wait so long, but
Nice. I'm gonna start working on
right.
closing
It,
that gap.
yeah, it
I
does,
know people follow me a really long time. That's wonderful to know though, because I didn't know that.
right. And the other thing, the piece about that's what God is like, it's something that I've recorded before just that story.
Oh,
And
that was
I
beautiful.
did one a year or so ago that I was pretty proud of. I'm still proud of it, but I watched it and I was like, oh wow, you're really like flat.
Oh,
I saw like how much I've changed
I take
from
some
there.
credit too for
Yep.
that.
Oh,
That's so great. That's what I mean. Like every single person watching this, for those of you on here, not on here, that's not working with me already, I hope you will, because I can work with your essence, your spirit, your personality, and have the breakthrough that you need. Whiskey.
I'm actually not in your courses yet. Let's say yet. But that based on what Michi just said too, is uh I run a YouTube channel also, and I went back and looked at my videos from like a year or a year and a half ago, and I'm like, oh, bless your heart, sweetheart. Like, I am such a completely different person, and you can see the growth on the video, right? So at first I was embarrassed. I'm like, look how bad that was. And I'm like, no, look where I am now,
Everybody has to
right?
start
Look how
somewhere.
much I've grown. So if anybody, like, just even if it's video just for you, record yourself because you can see it over time. And actually, as a retired teacher, when I was in college, they had us record ourselves teaching so
Mm,
that we could see what we did when we were teaching and in the zone and
yeah.
critique ourselves. So it's genius, really.
That is really great. I remember the first time I heard myself, I was interning at a radio station in New York City, and I heard myself, and boy, did I hate my voice. So, everybody who's doing that, be kind to yourself as you're watching that. And then, if you want to change something, my voice wasn't terrible. It's just, I didn't know that accent I had and that nasally because I was from, like, I didn't know that stuff. I didn't know how it hurt, how
And
it
not
sounded.
only that, but everybody else thinks you're a complete badass for doing what you're doing while you're criticizing yourself for
I
doing it.
know.
Like
We're just
it
hard on ourselves.
boggles the mind.
I'll tell you something. I went back and was it Miche? You've been following me since 2017. I've been going back because I have to delete videos and stuff. And I'm watching some of my old videos and I'm like, what on earth? And I was teaching video probably in 2017 is when I started. And I'm like, look at that hair. Now, don't get me started because curly hair has a life of its own. But I'm just saying, like, I was still clueless of certain things I could have done to make it better. And certainly with my personality and things like that, it's really true. Like, just keep going, keep doing it. And it is great to see where we've come from. Like, I try to tell people, like, I didn't know how to tell a story. I didn't know how to put my personality in. I just started, well, I do have a lot of acting training, but you got to start and you got to learn. That's why, some of my clients, they're here with me for a long time because it's a process. It's like the more we evolve, like, just like we evolve as a person, then our performance can evolve as well, or our storytelling. Like I was just, that was beautiful, Miche. I just also saw a whole nother level with that. Katie,
Yeah.
did you say anything?
What?
Did you say anything? Did you share anything after?
Not yet. I was
Um,
being
oh,
patient.
yes. Wait, hold on, Mary Brown, was there something you want to say on that?
I just want to piggyback on whiskey. You know, that Brenda's teaching doesn't just stay in one area. It's like it fills your life. It changes how you interact with people, how you speak, and how you speak gives you more freedom.
You just muted. Mary Fran, you just muted.
I accidentally muted myself. But I was saying about what, you know, whiskey was suggesting that it's important to do this work. It doesn't stay in just speech. It actually infiltrates your whole life, you know, because your interaction with other people, you have a broader range. So you can get across to people things that you might not have before because you have these ways of speaking that are, you know, you wouldn't think we need training for that, but we do.
Well, it's communication, right? It just
Yes,
reminds
it
me,
is.
I interviewed Paula James, who's a client on my page earlier today, and she was talking about, because she's been in like 8 Healing Through Stories 6-week classes with me and stuff, in addition to other things. And in different classes, we worked on different aspects of her. Like you're saying, Mary Fan, like one time she's like, she had her business story and she's like, oh, let's work on anger. I don't know if we came up with it together or separately. And one was on sensuality, and she shared one of the stories with that. Like, so that's where it's like accessing all of ourselves so that you can be in a conversation and have it be richer, you know?
Yeah. And I'd like to add about that you allow us, you encourage us to do that so that there's this permission and
Yeah.
encouragement. And that's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Because how many of us grew up where we didn't have that permission? I am what did Kimiko says? I'm like the stage godmother or something. I can't forget. Stage mother. Yeah. Stage godmother. Whiskey
Yeah.
and Katie.
Well, what I was going to
Thank-
say is that the more we communicate and we learn more, the more we learn about the rest of the world, with the more we learn about ourselves, and it develops our authenticity, which is another thing that you mentioned in the master class, was being that using your intuition and your authenticity for those messages. So that it just come full circle again.
You guys, I just want to say something. I've been having a hard week because of some stuff, and you guys are making me really happy. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Brenda Badass.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy
Happy
birthday to you. Happy
Happy
birthday, dear Brenda. Happy birthday to you.
That's probably horrible on a Zoom lag, but it's fine.
Absolutely.
We're all
Isn't it?
Oh
fine.
my God,
And
that's so
many more.
sweet. It reminds me,
Cha-cha-cha.
I was in an acting class in my early 20s, and I showed up to class one day and I didn't know they knew it was my birthday, and they got me a cake and everything. That was so sweet. So just for you guys, my actual birthday is actually in 2 days from now. But Facebook, back then I was like, I'm not putting my real birthday in someplace public. And so I'm just not changing it. And I get all these lovely and then I have, you know, my friends who know me a little better that are like, that's not your birthday. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Katie.
Have a birth week.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
Katie.
Oh, somebody else was talking. I'm sorry, I was being patient. No, I have to say everybody's story was amazing. I loved how everybody was very authentic. I definitely have been taking classes from Brenda, and if you notice, I was being slower because usually I'm fast. And I
Yes.
purposely slowed down. So, I'm sorry.
Yes. Beautiful. We are working together actually privately on an in-person talk she has coming up, in addition to being in my Create Your Show 12-week course that Melanie and Miche and Katie are in. Yeah. Yeah, I'm all about this authenticity and being, you know, speaking slowly so you can be heard, you know? And like I'm a very quick talker too, but there's places that when you're doing storytelling where you actually take a moment and go slow so people can really hear. But remember, everyone, these were like first time putting it up, right? And then the next time you do it a little bit differently. I mean, some of them were like perfect, just as they are, but then you don't want to like abandon it and not do it again. You want to do it again. When I used to do open mics or like showcases with clients, I used to be like, do another story, because I was so afraid that people would just keep working on the same story. You know how people work on the same chapter for years or the same story for years, and then they never finish something. And now I, absolutely with that, for if that's that person's challenge. But otherwise, I am more in a place as a mentor where I want, especially my clients who are with me longer, to like really kind of be in the story and be in the characters and the dialogue, and like get a piece that they already have crafted to a more delicious place,
Not only that, but I've been to like some repeat conferences who have had the same speakers, and the speakers have never changed their script ever. And I've watched the same person tell the same story like a dozen times. I could tell you when they're going to move their hand. I could tell you
Oh, they
every,
do that the same exact way too.
and every time they say their name, I'm like, oh, please have a different story. Please
That's
have a
what I'm
different.
also talking about formulas.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's just it's too much because
are
it's the
those
same thing.
are those speak to sell places, or are they
No,
what
it's actually people speaking in a conference and the speaker never changes their
like, but like
script.
what kind of conferences? I'm trying to, like, is it
Most of them are personal development type
personal
conferences.
development? Yeah.
And they bring the same speaker come back with the same script. And it's like
Yeah, that sucks.
mind numbing.
That's what I mean about the formula and the formulaic thing. And it's funny though, because I have two opinions on this, because I have a one-woman show that I've done over and over and over and over and over again. However, I'll tell you something. I'm not really doing it for the same place. I'm doing it in different places. It's not like, I mean, I have people who come back, every time I do it, if it's in a local place or something like that. But yeah, I think that's kind of lazy if it's the same conference and the same speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Like you do have
I
your
see what's
main
happening.
talk, right?
Yeah,
But
it's the same speaker under the same conference umbrella, and they keep bringing back the same script. I'm like, please stop.
yeah, but here's the thing. That's really exciting to me because this is where I'm being more of a rebel these days. And I'm like, don't go back to those. Don't go
Mhm.
back to those places unless you've prepaid, right? So you're like, okay, I can go to this conference forever. So I understand why you do it then.
Or
But
if you're
like,
somebody that's setting up conferences and retreats, know not to do that with yours.
right,
Change
no,
that,
not to
swap
do
out
that.
your talent.
Swap out your talent, get a coach
Mhm.
like me to help people to get a different story, because you do want to have one story that is like down, but then do it at different conferences where it's a different group of people and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. That's interesting. Yeah, I've heard the same stories over and over again from people, and I'm like, oh my God. But it's usually speak to sell. Like, um, yeah, I think that only works if you have different audiences, right? You have different audiences, which is a great thing, because you want to reach different people. Like for all of you, you want to reach different people. Um, Anything else? Thank you so much, everyone. That was my pleasure and an honor. Um, Go to the page on Facebook and share it. It'll be easily shareable. Watch your piece over. And you really did wonderful, wonderful work. And for anyone who's interested in joining my Soul Story Lounge, which is my inner circle, my low cost membership, please reach out to me. I haven't done like a formal launch of it in a very long time, but we have amazing people in there. There's several, I mean, Mary Fran, Melanie, Miche, and Katie are in there. And it's really wonderful. It's community, it's support, it's going deep, it's being authentic. We have an influencer who has 300,000 followers on TikTok coming in
Yeah.
later this month. But varied guests in there. I like to do something that's also not typical. It's not the same guests that are in everybody else's groups and stuff like that. And we do open mics quarterly and all this other good stuff. And if you want to work with me privately because you have a talk coming up, reach out to me and we'll get on a call and I can see how I can help you. Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you
Brenda.
so much, everybody, and go into
Thank
Unforgettable
you.
Speaker Society.
And
Thank
I'm
you.
Happy
rebranding. So
Valentine's.
Buddy.
sorry,
Thank you.
I'm rebranding. I'll put the list for or the link for Whiskey Lynn in there instead of the
Oh,
name.
good.
That's good. Okay.
Perfectly.
Good.
Wonderful. I
Happy
love it.
Hearts Day, everybody. Happy Hearts
Bye,
Day.
everybody.
Yes.
Happy Love Day.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
y'all.
Thank you.
Wonderful.